Hello and welcome to another demonstrational video here at Emm-Bee Motorhomes. This time it's the fantastic little Ecovip 600 panel van. So as always we'll start going around the outside of the motorhome and then we'll move on to the controls on the inside. So first things first is the cab controls. So just to get underneath the cab, lift the bonnet catch is just here. So lift that catch like so, and that will release the bonnet to its first stage. Just while we're here, we have got the darkening blinds for the side windows. The way you operate those is you pinch these two buttons together, slide this across like so, and there's a magnetic strip which joins that and keeps it in position. When you're retrieving this, just make sure that this bar here goes back straight, and that avoids any crumpling of the blinds. So just make sure that it's going back straight like so, and just ensure that that is clipped back in and you hear it clip positively back in. Obviously if that's not in properly and you're cornering, this could slide across with inertia, cornering inertia, and obviously it'll impede your vision, so just make sure that they're clipped back in. While we're here, exactly the same principle really on the windscreen. What you do is you pinch these two buttons together, draw this darkening blind across, as you get to halfway it'll stop, and then there's opposing blind on the other side which again has got a magnetic strip down this side, and that's how they join together in the center. So you can see there, if both sides are pulled across, that'll provide darkening for the windscreen. And it's probably more important on this side and the driver's side to make sure that they're clipped back in, and you hear the clip go back in, and just test it to make sure that that's gone back in, because obviously it's there's danger of that coming across and impeding your vision while you're driving, which obviously is dangerous. While we're here, there is an indication about tyre pressures on this pillar here. It is actually better to refer to the tyres themselves, because the tyres in most cases are specialist camping tyres which are capable of higher pressures to protect the sidewalls from flat spots when it's being left for extended periods. So probably refer to the tyres themselves, but if in doubt, there's no harm in referring to this also. Okay, you can see I've got the seats swiveled around. They're both captain's chairs, so the passenger and driver's seat are both captain's chairs, so they'll swivel around. We'll come to that when we go inside, but you can see they're swiveling around, and there's a mechanism and a catch to allow you to turn those around. Just while we're here as well, if you pull this fronted section off the seat, under here you've got a bank of 12-volt fuses. So in the instruction manual they'll be labelled to tell you which one is which, but let's say you had a fault with the lighting circuit or the water pump, etc., then obviously each individual 12-volt appliance has its own circuit and therefore its own fuse. You've got the charger unit in there along with a charger regulator, so that's where the 12-volt fuses are housed on this particular model. Okay, so I've lifted the bonnet now. Obviously the bonnet catch is just there, so that gets you to the stage that you can open the actual bonnet. It's just above the Laika badge, as you can see. So under the bonnet then, I will note that this vehicle's not yet been valeted, so if you see any signs of dirt, then it is going to get thoroughly cleaned and valeted for the customer. This is your washer fluid, so your windscreen washer. You've got coolant, the coolant reservoir there, the brake fluid reservoir, the oil fill. Okay, so this model, the more modern models tend not to have a dipstick to gauge your fuel. It'll all be done on the computer on the control panel of the dashboard to tell you what levels your oil is, and also it'll monitor your oil temperature. If there's an issue with that, it'll flag it up on the dashboard. If you ever are unlucky enough to have to jump start the vehicle, or indeed jump start another vehicle from this one, your negative or black or earth terminal goes onto this little peg here. Okay, so your black cable, earth cable, goes onto there, and then there's a little metal blade here, which is just here. So your red cable, your positive, goes onto that one. It has got a little protective cover on it, and it's sometimes necessary to just put the key into that little slot that you can maybe see over the top of it there. I'll just see if I can do that for you now. So you put the key into that little slot, which is just there, and that'll allow you to lift that flap up. That'll allow you to lift that flap up to reveal the metal underneath. There's a chassis plate just on this cross member here. I mean, this vehicle's 3.5 tons, so it's not really relevant because it's on private light goods. But yeah, that's where the chassis plate is if you ever need to reference it. Okay, so with the bonnet closed now, we'll go on to the controls on the outside of the motorhome. So I'll just work round in a methodical manner. First things first, first thing we see on the outside of the motorhome here is the mains cable attachment. So there's no mains cable here with me now, but the mains cable goes into this here. So it's just an outdoor style mains cable that gives you your 240 volt supply to the motorhome. So it'll allow you to use 240 volt appliances, and it'll also charge up your 12 volt battery. So the way that it works is the end that goes in here has got a little lid that you lift up. The lid goes into a little slot which is just above the top there, and then it allows you to slide the cable in. So the end with the lid goes into here, and the actual lid itself slides into a groove there. This is just a vent for the boiler, so whenever you're using the hot water or the heating, then particularly if you're using it on gas, we'll come to the controls in a minute for the boiler, but this is where the boiler vents. Okay, so if you've got your central heating on at home, you're probably used to seeing the condensation and exhaust for the gas boiler that you've got at home coming out of your exhaust on the side of your wall. Then exactly the same principle, you'll see steam rising from this and probably condensating on the side of the van. Perfectly normal to see that. The next thing along here, we've got the little tool on the floor which is necessary to drain down your wastewater. So everything that goes down the kitchen sink and down the shower ends up in a holding tank, which is the grey or wastewater tank. To empty that, you need this little grey handle here, and that goes onto this bar here. Okay, so I think that's open and that's closed, but you'll know because obviously water will pour out onto the floor, and then you can see that little pipe just there coming off the tank. That's where the water will drain from. So generally on a site there's a grid that you drive over the grid and then empty the wastewater tank. So if you're reversing or driving over the grid, if you line up this hatch here with the grid, then you're almost directly over where the wastewater is going to drain from. Okay, so while we're on the subject of this hatch here, this is the toilet waste container that's housed within this opening on the motorhome here. It's lockable, so you do need two hands to do this. You need to press this one in and that one in at the same time. So I'll just open that now. Okay, so with that open, there's an indication on the toilet itself to actually tell you how full this cassette is, but because of the bright blue fluid that's used, you can actually see down into the waste container from the toilet. So there's two indications to tell you when this needs emptying. But to empty it, what you do is you lift up that little blue flap there, and that'll allow you to draw the waste container out. Okay, so I've pulled the container out and put it on the floor now. So this then in theory would be full of toilet waste. What you do to empty it is you take the funnel on the end, point that so that it's away from the container, undo the cap on the end of the funnel, take that away. Just incidentally, this actually acts as a measuring cup for the chemical as well. So if it'll become clear in a minute, but if you use that as a measuring cup. So with the cap off the end of the funnel, you lift the whole container this way so you can see the liquid is going to pour out the bottom. As you're doing so, press this button in here. What it does is it lets air in as the liquid is coming out of the ends. So you can imagine air's coming in here, liquid's going out there. It doesn't glug, it stops it from splashing. So you've just got a pure flow of water shooting out the other end without it needing to replenish its air back through here. So the air comes in here, liquid goes out there. Once you've emptied it, then you need to put the chemical into this to break down all the solids and any smells. What you do is you slide this cover back, turn this blade control around. So what this is called the blade here, that's giving you access into the cassette. So what I tend to do is empty it, completely full of fresh water again, and then swill it around and then empty it again so that you know that it's completely clean. Open it up, put about this much water in the bottom, measure out your chemical and then put that into it, and then it's ready to use again. You can use the green chemical, but that's biodegradable. It's not as efficient as breaking down the smells and the solids as the blue stuff, but in theory the green chemical can be disposed of anywhere. The blue stuff needs to be disposed of down a toilet or down a designated waste point. Before you put this back in the motorhome, make sure that is facing that way and your blade is closed. Put this back in position, it's ready to go back in. You'll see that this has got wheels on the bottom. So the way that works is it allows you to wheel it over to the waste disposal point, and there's an extendable handle on the top. Okay, so the way this one works is it's got a foldable handle. So you fold that down, put that in like so. So once you've emptied it, refilled it full of the chemical, you just line the wheels up onto the runners like so, push it back in, make sure the blue clip is back in position, and then your toilet's ready to use again. We'll do a bit more information on the actual toilet itself, but that's how you drain the toilet cassette down. Okay, so we'll work on around to the back of the motorhome then. With this particular model, well, first things first, this is where the gas is housed. Now, this customer's actually asked us to fit a refillable gas bottle system for them, and the bottles are in situ. We just need to fit all the associated pipe work. So in terms of this particular customer, when you're here, we'll actually just do a little bit of information on the gas law and how that works. But just for the minute, the fitters haven't finished plumbing up the gas law system for you yet. But if you weren't having the refillable system fitted, that's where you would put your 2 6-kilo gas bottles. Both lockable, so you just push those in and pop them out like so. Because it's a gas locker, it's got a really strong seal on it here, so when you push that in, it might not pop all the way out, but if you push it past the seal, it pops out. Right, so this particular motor on the way, it's a fixed bed at the back, so I'll show it you in this guys for now, and then we'll make the bed up. So you can probably see this folds like so, and then would come down and sit across here so that it creates the bed. But just we'll do that when we go inside. From the other side, I'll show you how that operates, because the clip to pull it down is in fact on that side. These sections here that support the bed when it's down, they can come out. So you can see that one's out there. This one here, that would come out as well, and they just clip in to position like so. There's a flooring section here that also slides out. See that sliding out on those runners there. So that would slide all the way out to give you, let's say you wanted to put a bike in here, and you can do that by putting it onto the retaining straps and bungeeing it down, or ratchet strapping it down. You would take this out, take these cross members out here, that section that's at the front here, which it's got a door in it, so it will actually allow you access from the other side into your storage here. But you can probably see how there's like those white sections there that it fits into. This whole section here, you can actually slide it up and out of the way, so you can actually, with this model, get a bike or larger items, barbecues and tables and chairs and things, into this bit here, and obviously extend the height with taking that section of floor out. Okay, the filling of the motorhome for water. So what you do is you put a hose pipe into this here. Okay, so this is a lockable water filler cap. What you've got to do is make sure that you turn the barrel of the cap rather than the whole thing. So you've got to turn the barrel independently of the it's no good just turning it and then turning the whole cap round with it. You've got to turn the barrel independently. So to fill it full of water, make sure it's unlocked, push this in slightly and just turn it, and then basically just put a hose pipe into here until the water tank is full, and you'll get back pressure. It'll actually fill until it literally pours out, and then you can take the hose out and you know your water tank is full. Now your water tank will only fill providing that the tap in the water tank is closed and ready for filling. So we'll show you where that is now. Okay, so the water tank is housed within the motorhome all along this panel here. So it's got advantages in the fact that it's inside and therefore is insulated. It's very important that you drain the water out of the fresh water tank in winter conditions. If you leave water in the tank and it'll end up freezing in cold weather, it'll expand and then possibly crack the tank or any of the associated pipework. So probably the most important thing I'm going to tell you here is drain this tank down whenever you're storing it in cold weather. And so you've got to get all the water out of it. This is only just one aspect of it. So we've shown you the wastewater tank. This is your fresh water tank, and there's also the boiler. So there's 3 points that must be drained down. So I'll show you how to drain this one down, and I will show you the boiler as and when we get to it, but they're the 3 main important things that need draining down. So underneath this panel here is where the water tank is housed. You can probably see that there. So when you're filling it from the outside, this pipe here is where the water's going to come in. You've got access to this tank from the inside. You shouldn't really need to access it, but if you want to sanitize it or anything like that, you can unscrew this cap here and it gives you access into the tank. You've just got to make sure that this is put back on tightly. You can imagine if you're filling the tank up and water reaches the top of the tank and you haven't put this on tightly, it'll go past this seal and you'll end up with water pouring into the motor. Right, okay, so to drain it down then, this little wheel here will turn both ways. So if you turn it clockwise, just so that it's finger tight, don't over tighten it because it's on a plastic thread and it'll strip the thread. The way this works is there's like a rod with going into the bottom of the tank with a rubber bung on the end, and as you turn this, it's lifting that rod to take the rubber bung out of the bottom of the tank. So there's 2 positions on this. You can drain it down to 20 litres. So yeah, you can drain it down to 20 litres. The reason that they give you that option is so that you can calculate weights. If you need to carry water, because you're not going to a place where there is water, it'll allow you to drain it down to 20 litres, so that 20 litres is 20 kilos, so you can calculate your weight so you're not overloading the motorhome. So to drain it down to 20 litres, you turn this knob here and you'll hear it click. You'll feel it as well. Okay, I don't know whether your camera picked that up, but it's just clicked. So when it clicks, that's 20 litres. No matter how much you fill the tank, it'll only retain 20 litres of water. To fully drain it down after that, beyond that 20 litres, just turn this literally a turn and a half. and that will fully drain the tank. The reason I'm saying is don't go around turning it all the way as far as you can, because what you're doing is you're pulling that rod out of the bottom. Eventually it'll pop out of its thread, and then that's the mechanism out of function. So once you've felt it click, just go 1.5 to 2 turns beyond that click, and then it'll completely drain the fresh water down. So I'm going to close that back up. Just do it finger tight, don't over tighten it, and then you're ready to fill the water tank, and it'll retain its water within there. Okay, so we've dealt with the water. There's just some things I took out of the motorhome just so they weren't in the way while I was doing the bed. In this box is a winder for the awning. There's a separate video on our YouTube channel that shows you how to operate the awning, but it is present, it's in the box. I've made sure of that. So yeah, that's the winder for the awning. The box that the sat-nav system and the entertainment system that's connected to the reversing camera, the box and the instructions are there. There's some instructions for all your individual appliances and the actual motorhome itself in this black Hessian sack. There's some extra lock barrels in the plastic bag, and the plugs for the sink, etc. are in there. There's a warning triangle if you need to warn other road users as of a hazard if you've broken down. In this black Hessian pouch here is the puncher repair kit. So if you're unlucky enough to get a puncher, because it doesn't have a spare wheel, that's where the puncher repair kit is. And then the cab carpets. This particular customer's asked us to fit them a television, so that's the box for the television. Okay, so just round the back of the vehicle, we've sorted the bed out. Because this has got the rear view camera, I'm just pointing out where the lens is. It's just underneath the high position there, where the high level brake light is. So it's just that little lens just there. If it's raining hard and there's water around and road spray and water's on that lens, you're going to get a distorted vision on the monitor. There's no way around that. Just make sure it's kept clean, and just obviously be aware that what you're seeing through the monitor sometimes can be distorted by the fact that there's water droplets on the lens. So we've dealt with the water filler. I'll just make sure there's nothing behind the door. Okay, so that's most of the stuff dealt with outside the motorhome. As I say, there's a video separately on our YouTube channel to show you how to operate the awning, but basically that winder goes into that little hook on the end there, and you wind the awning out. But I will put the instructional video for the awning in the description for this video. So if we go inside, then I'll show you the controls inside here. What we've got just before we go in is you've got an electric step. The electric step switch is just here, and I think there's actually an audible sound to tell you that you've got your step out that will warn you before you set off driving. Okay, so this has got an extendable worktop section that you just pull out like so. To release that, there's catches just in here. You pull both of those at the same. You can see how it's releasing it. If you pull both of those at the same time, that allows you to drop this section out of the way. Okay, so I said I'd show you how the captain's chairs work. So the seat swivels around like so, and these are the levers that allow you to swivel the seat around. So you pull those levers like so, and then it'll allow you to swivel the seat. They don't lock into position when they're facing towards me, towards the back of the motorhome, but they do lock into position when they're facing forward. So you'll hear it click and you'll know that that's in position. This model's got an extendable table, so that's the extended position, and there's supports for that when it's in its extended position. So the supports pull out like so you're not stressing the hinge, and they come out like that. Push the supports back in. You can actually retract this table so it folds down flat against this panel here. To do that, there's a little section on the pole that's holding it in position. So you just pull that section out like so, and you see how that slots in onto there. So I'm lifting the table and I'm allowing that section to slide down. that allows this table to fold flat like so, and then there's a press stud to hold it in position. This little cabinet that's underneath here is just a storage compartment, so if you lift this bit up here, probably see there, lift that up, so if you pull that up out of the way, it just reveals a storage compartment underneath that cover. Okay, so I'll just probably work round in a anti-clockwise fashion, and then we've got everything covered and I don't forget anything. Underneath this forward facing dinette seat here, which has also got seat belts, they're just, this cover has been put over the top of the seat belts, but you can see it's got seat belts, is where the hot water boiler is housed. So when I said that the exhaust for the boiler when I was on the outside is in that area, it stands to the reason that this is where the boiler is housed. The most important thing that you need to remember with this is, again, it's a vessel of water. If you leave it in cold weather and it freezes, it'll expand within the boiler and the associated pipework, and it'll crack because it expands. So it's got a valve to be able to drain that down, and that's housed in this area here. Okay, so this valve here, this black box, it's a thermostatic valve, so it'll actually protect your boiler somewhat for you. If it senses that the temperature has reached 6 degrees in this area here, it will automatically drop the water out of the boiler, provided that your boiler isn't switched on. So if your boiler's switched on and the temperature gets low, it won't switch off until it gets, you know, dangerously low. So it'll only do that if it's not in use, basically. So in theory, when you come to it after a cold snap, the water should all be out of your boiler. To retain the water in your boiler, it must look like this. So that button needs pressing in. So you turn that dial around first to that position and then press that button in. You'll see when I turn it, forcibly turn it, the button pops out. So to retain the water within the boiler and get it into a usable position, it needs to look like that. Okay, so that's where the boiler drain valve's positioned. When you first fill up with water, so you've filled your water up on the outside of the motorhome using your hose pipe, it's necessary to pump that water through the system, through all the pipe work, fill up the boiler, and then you can switch your boiler on. If you switch your boiler on with this in that position, all you're doing is heating thin air. So if you're trying to heat your water up, it's pointless, you're just heating thin air. You need to pump the boiler, pump the water through the boiler so that you've got the water in that boiler. So you do that by switching your water pump on. So the process is fill up your fresh water tank, make sure that valve's closed, come to your control panel, switch your water pump on, which is this button here, come to your tap, switch your tap on, onto the hot side, so move your lever over to the hot, wait until you get a pure flow of water coming out of your tap. What that tells you is that all the air has been dispelled out of the pipework, it's pushed all the air out of your boiler, and you've now got water in the complete system. Once you get a pure flow of water, you can switch your tap off, and then you can switch your boiler on. We'll come to the boiler controls in just a second, but it's important that you it's called purging the system. So you've got to purge the air out of the pipe work through your boiler, fill up your boiler with water, and then you can switch your hot water on. Another thing to mention that's in here is this main circuit breaker. So what that does, so that's a main circuit breaker like you would have at home really. So if there's a problem with any of your mains appliances, they will flip down like this. Okay, so that's the usable position, and then if they've tripped, they'll flip down. You can test you've got a main supply coming into the motorhome by pressing this button here and that will actually flip down. Okay, another drain that is required to get all the water out of this motorhome is housed just underneath this hatch here. So what this does is it gets all the excess out of the pipe works. So again, just lift this up, simply open and close these taps. Okay, so I'm going to leave these closed because we've not got freezing weather, but to get all the water out of the pipes that are running to your boiler, you can open these taps up, and that drains down the water system even more completely. Okay, so I've not gone any further than the front of the van yet. So over the top of the door, this is the sliding door on the side, this is where your control panel is. I'll just run through this with you. So down this side, if you press this button here, it's showing you a picture of a motorhome. You press that button, it's telling you about your motorhome battery. Now it's showing a third full. I mean, it stands to reason because we're not plugged into mains, and we've got all the lights on and everything, so it probably does need a charge. But as soon as you plug it into a main supply, this will shoot right over to full. Whenever you're plugged in, it'll read full. Whenever it's, you know, sort of you're using it and the lights are on, then it'll show a lesser charge. This is the battery for your cab, obviously indicated by the fact it's showing a cab. Press that and you can see that's in better condition, probably because we're not using it, and the leisure battery. This is your water, so that's your fresh water situation, just showing a little bit of water in that. And then that's your wastewater situation, so again, just showing a little bit in there. These aren't deadly accurate, they're sort of probably 75% accurate, so even if it shows a little bit, sometimes the water tanks are completely empty anyway. This little light here will illuminate when you've got a main supply coming in, which we haven't at the moment, so that'll give you a quick reference on whether or not you've got a main supply coming in. That switches your 12 volt on and off. That's your water pump, so you need that running in order to get water out of your tap and purge the system as I've just described. And then that's a awning light, an exterior light that's just housed underneath the awning. The heating controls are just here, so that's next to the main control panel. To switch this on and wake the control panel up, press the button in the center of this wheel. Okay, so what this wheel does is it scrolls you through the menus. Okay, so the first one here, you can see it's flashing. We know we're going to go into that menu. Press that button. This allows you to select the desired temperature. So what I always try and do is put it on 22 degrees, which is probably room temperature. Once you've selected your temperature, press the button in the center, and then in theory, if you've got the right fuel supply, then this will do its thing and just get you up to 22 degrees in the fastest possible way. The next one along, you can see that's flashing, is the water. So again, what I said about heating up your water, there's no point doing it unless you've actually filled the boiler up. It's a bit like sort of switching your immersion heater on when there's no water in the tank. So the next one along here is your water, like I said. So you've got off, eco, which is 40 degrees, hot, which is 60 degrees, or boost. Boost will take all the energy away from heating the motorhome and allocate it to the heating of the water. So if you want a lot of hot water very fast, then put it on boost. If you just want hot water all the time, then leave it on hot. What I would do is leave it on hot and mix it with the cold, so you've got a lot of warm water. Next one along is your fuel supply, so whichever fuel you select. Let's say you're on a site and you're hooked up to electric, there's no point burning up your gas. So go into the menu, you've got gas only, a mix of gas and electric on 1 kilowatt, a mix of gas and electric on 2 kilowatts, electric only on 1 kilowatt, electric only on 2 kilowatts. The reason they give you this option is if you're on a site which is a very low ampage site, particularly abroad, if it's an 8 amp site, 2 kilowatts is going to blow the fuse, so leave it on 1 kilowatt or use gas. Next one along is the fan setting. Now if you put the heating on and you select 22 degrees, it'll just automatically get to the temperature that you desire. If you've got no heating on at all, you can actually switch it to vent. Equally, you can select a higher fan speed, but it's pointless. I don't think it's necessary. You can probably just leave it on 22 degrees and it'll get there in the fastest way it can with the right fan speed for it. It's a bit like your automatic air conditioner on your car. This is a timer, so you can set it to come on at a certain time, go off at a certain time. This sets your time, the actual time, and this is a settings menu. I'm not going to go into the settings menu for the purposes of this video, but there's an instruction manual for the Truma boiler actually in the book pack which I showed you, that was on the floor on the outside of the vehicle. You've got a 2-burner gas hob with an ignition, so you press that, just keep the thing pressed in while you're pressing that. Not much to say about that, it's a straightforward gas hob. Right, your fridge, this is a compressor fridge, so it uses 12 volt. You can see it's on at the moment. So to switch this on and off, it's this button here. So you can see that's gone off now. It's a long press again to switch it back on. So once you've switched it on, you can actually select your temperature on the fridge. The reason they give you this option is if it's a really red hot boiling day, then leave it on full. If it's a ice cold winter's day, then there's no point putting it on full, it'll just ice up. So you need the fridge to work as hard as the ambient temperature outside, so that's why they give you that adjustment. It'll only let you adjust that one when you first switch it on and off. So what you got to do is switch it off and then come back to this, and it'll allow you to mess with the temperature. This little button here is the night mode. So these compressor fridges, although this isn't making a lot of noise at all, when they're working hard they can be a little bit noisy, so you can put it into night mode by pressing that button there, and it reduces the amount of noise that the fridge makes. So with the illuminated, that's in the lesser noise mode, although I've got to say it's not actually making a lot of noise at all. Yeah, so I'm seeing very little difference between the night mode, but I think, you know, the harder the fridge is working, the noisier it may be. Okay, so the bed situation, as you can see what I said about the door, you've got access through this door if you've got this panel in, but this panel lifts out if you want to gain access to the storage that's behind it. The catch for the bed is just here, and then so if you've got that lifted up like I had it before when we were looking in from the back, to release it you just press that button, that sort of sliding mechanism in there, and it allows the whole mechanism to drop towards me and allow you to put the bed flat like it is now. Right, the bathroom situation, I'll just show you how the toilet works from the inside. So to use the toilet, this swivels like so, to get it in a comfortable position. Lift the lid, this little thing here on the side opens and closes that blade, which is in direct, it's directly connected to that cassette which I showed you outside. So open it up, use the loo, press the flush button, and then when you're finished, close this back up. It's important that you close it because if you can imagine, you set off driving, you've got liquid in the bottom which will slush around and could find its way to places that you don't want it to. So that's how the toilet operates. There's a little indication on this panel here which will illuminate to tell you how the cassette needs emptying. This section here in the bathroom slides across, and to release it you press this little plastic tab in like so, and it protects the toilet for when you're showering. The kitchen tap doubles as your shower head and clips onto that position like so. Remove the wooden duckboard if you're going to shower because it'll end up getting water damaged. I mean, it's there to protect the shower tray if you're walking on it, and if things drop on it, my advice is to remove that if you're going to shower. Okay, and then that just pushes in past that to keep that in position to reveal your sink. Okay, so that concludes the demonstrational video. I'm sure it probably raises some questions as well as answers some, so we're happy to answer those in advance of you collecting. If not, then we can answer those questions you may have on the day that you collect. But we very much look forward to seeing you on the happy day that you collect this fantastic Laika motorhome.